Amy, let's go back in time. In 2016, we had Sia Lucia Numa, who on 7th February 2016 was also a victim. 13th August, Sia Kamara. Sina Kaikagbo was in 2022. These are 3 victims who didn't survive to tell their own personal story, except to people who perhaps they had been talking to from time to time about their situation, but now they don't have the opportunity to talk to the public. Now there's Florence Sabo in 2015, while she was visibly, heavily pregnant, seriously battered by her then husband. She reported, she was saved, she had the opportunity to tell her story. We just heard of Monica, who had the courage to come forward. Despite the popularity, prominence of her husband, she still had the courage to come forward. We still have victims amongst us.
Yes.
We know some of our friends, our relatives and loved ones who are victims. We've tried to encourage them repeatedly. 1 minute, they have the courage to come forward. Next minute, they're changing the story. We've seen some of these victims, after they've been manhandled by their spouses, these same spouses go on social media to make a nice post about how in love they are with them, sending them gifts. Does this paint a picture of our perspective of what love is and what a relationship should be?
I think from our perspective, first of all, if you're always angry as a man, that it leads you to the point where you have to lay your hands on your spouse, your partner, then you're in the wrong relationship. And if a man is laying hands on you, he doesn't love you. Don't let anyone brainwash you. And you have women who actually say, oh,
but that's what we've heard. He does it because he's in love with you.
Good.
He's in love, so he felt jealous. He's in love, so he felt disrespected. And even in these same conversations, we've had men who subconsciously confess to being perpetrators.
Exactly.
I've seen someone who's very prominent post that we have all been in a situation where we've lost our temper. Subconsciously confessing to say, I am also a perpetrator. I perpetrate violence on my spouse. But it leaves some thinking that that's what love is. No. Men only react like that because they love you. No. And then you'd hear them say, oh, it's also because many of these women, if you don't hit them, they don't feel loved. They don't feel like your attention is with the relationship.
Good. I think it's a very, very, very bad way of thinking. First of all, you don't need to lay your hands on your woman to prove that you love them. First of all, it means you totally do not love your woman. You don't have to hit her. And there's nothing exactly that a woman can do to you, because you have those who say, well, she did something, but there's nothing absolutely that a woman should do that should warrant you to lay your hands on her. That is not love. And I think we have to change the narrative and start also from the bottom, from when we were kids. Because a lot of us grew up in abusive homes, and we thought that is what is love. But that isn't love, actually, because one thing I know is violence is a learned behavior, and it is also a choice. You can walk away. You don't need to lay your hands on the woman. And the woman also needs to know that if he's laying his hands on me, he doesn't respect me, he doesn't value my life, and he doesn't love me. So you also have a choice to make, to speak up, to walk away from that relationship, and preserve your life. Like you said, we have Sina, we have Sia, who is dead right now. They can't tell their own story. We can't actually know what exactly happened, what led to this, because they are gone, they are no more with us. And if you are alive, it means that is your cue to leave. That is actually your cue to walk away. I honestly don't understand the reasons why women still sit in these abusive relationships, but I think as a society, we can still continue to give them support, to help them understand that it is okay to speak up. a lot of them are actually being stigmatized when they do speak up, but it is better than losing your life.
And the thing is, Doc, I'll come to you on this. With especially the very recent cases we've had, more so the very recent prominent cases we've had, the alleged perpetrators, these are people of high standing, you would say, in society. How difficult does this make the fight against sexual and gender-based violence, domestic violence, intimate partner violence in the country, when some of these alleged perpetrators, again, are people of high standing, prominent people in society, when our nation has been known for compromise?
So for me, this has been the most challenging aspect, you know. And then sometimes you feel you're not doing enough. Sometimes you feel, let me walk out. Sometimes you feel pressured because when you decide to take an action and then you begin to get calls here and there, you begin to say, oh, this one, I get unfund this case.
But these are people who ought to know better.
Exactly.
The alleged perpetrators, even those who are calling to compromise for them, they ought to know better.
And for me, I feel that any form of violence against a human being or woman is violence. It is wrong. We should not accept it. In the first place, we should not compromise. And then this is where, once, like working in the ministry now, we have our mandate. And sometimes, once we have reached our mandate, we've passed that level, we don't know where decisions come from, because we leave it to the police or the judiciary for so that they can handle those matters, because we have our mandates, we have where we do not cross the lines. All we need to do is work together. We present every evidence that we have before us. We present whatever case or matter that comes before us, and then we leave it to the police and the judiciary to handle it. So that, like I said, it's a multifaceted approach. And now we have set up what we call the Gender Steering Committee, the Gender-Based Violence Steering Committee, which meets, in fact, today we're meeting at 3 o'clock. We have a couple of key institutions there, the military, the police. We decided to bring in the military because they were not there initially, and also civil society organizations that are present. So we look at issues and find a way of trying to solve them. Sometimes what happens in these matters as well is because of lack of evidence. When there is lack of evidence, the police cannot charge. There is no way some of these cases can get to court even. And sometimes when they get to court, there is no evidence to prove, because even the victims will also try to find concealing information. So they conceal information and make your work very difficult for you. So this is where also we feel that, what do people think? Do they feel that when people violate them, they are doing them a favor? Even though we're trying to let them understand that violence in every form is wrong, but they still feel that this one you want can't well me married, this one you want can't well we sit on place and everything. So you find it very challenging, and this is where I feel frustrated at times. If government is trying, what we have done is we are trying to let the police and the judiciary work closely, because sometimes this is where we have the missing links. You know, sometimes the police will refer these matters to the court, and because of the workload in the judiciary, we do not have many judges to preside over these matters. Then it becomes problematic. So cases will span like even 8 months, 1 year. They are still lying there without being called, and perpetrators sometimes are free. Sometimes some of them are also behind bars unjustly at times, because if you do not get the evidence to prove, because what we're looking at is justice. For me, I believe in justice. When a case is being reported, until it is proven guilty, then you believe that all evidences are pointing against you, then I feel relieved. But sometimes people are scot-free when they are the real perpetrators. They're there. And sometimes people suffering behind bars when they are the victims, you know. So it's a kind of challenge that we're facing. One of the biggest challenges, because we do not have forensic lab in this country.